Good morning. I'm Danny Gerald. This is my Discussion Board 1 project, researching Revolutionary era American public history. I chose Boston Freedom Trail as my project because I went there last year, and so I'm quite familiar with how that works up there. So this video thread describes obviously the Boston Freedom Trail. It's a walk in history, 2.5 miles. It's a red line on the road, and it leads to nationally significant historic sites that have been preserved by the citizens of Boston. And on that trail, you'll see places such as the old State House, which you see here pictured, built in 1713 to house the colony's government. The old State House was at the center of civic events that sparked the American Revolution. Less than a decade later, in 1776, the Declaration of Independence was first read to the people of Boston from the old State House balcony. Also, as you can see in this picture down below, is in yellow is where the Boston Massacre occurred. You can actually see that from the old State House. The Boston Massacre was a product of the occupation of the Boston Redcoats in 1768. The violent clash took place on March 5th, 1770, and like I said, you can see that it's right in front of the old State House. Next, we see Boston Commons. Boston Commons was established in 1634. It's known as America's oldest public park. There was a pasture here that became known as common land, and it was used to graze local livestock until 1830. During the occupation of Boston, over 1,000 redcoats made camp on the common area, and it was from here that 3 brigades of redcoats left to make the fateful trip to Lexington and Concord. And as you see here, this is George Washington riding on his horse as a monument there. One other thing of interest that you might like is the Old North Church. It's lesser known as Christ Church in the city of Boston, and it's where in April 1875 Paul Revere met up with the sexton Robert Newman to tell him how to signal the advance of British troops towards Lexington and Concord. Newman met the Sons of Liberty, Captain Pulling and Thomas Bernard, leaving Bernard to watch outside. Pulling climbed the stairs, went up the 8 stories, and hung 2 lanterns. It was long enough for patriots in Charlestown to learn for patriots in Charlestown to learn what has been immortalized as the phrase "one if by land, two if by sea," and the British were advancing by boat across the Charles River. Next, we're going to see Paul Revere House. It's built in 1680. The Paul Revere House is the oldest remaining structure in downtown Boston and the only home on the Freedom Trail. Revere and his family lived here when he made his famous messenger ride to Lexington on the night of April 18th through the 19th, 1775. And finally, we're going to see Bunker Hill, where on June 7th, 1775, the first major battle of the Revolutionary War took place. It took a force of 3,000 redcoats, 3 assaults to dislodge the colonial militia from the hastily constructed redoubt on top of Breed's Hill, which there was a mix-up, and there's not real clear on how that mix-up actually occurred, but this is actually not Bunker Hill, it's Breed's Hill, but everyone knows it as Bunker Hill, and that's where the monument is. This is where, in this battle, Colonel William Prescott is known to have said, "Don't fire until you see the whites of their eyes." So the theme of this public history site is it's a unique collection of museums, churches, meeting houses, burying grounds. There's a couple of ships there and historic markers that tell the story of the American Revolution. And as far as the educational value of a field trip here, it will result in seeing and feeling a trail that is rich in history of the American Revolution as it began in Boston. And Boston's official Freedom Trail takes you on an adventure where history was made, and it is well worth the trip up there. Thank you.